Hi, I'm Jacques van Niekerk, the new Global CEO of Incubeta. Yeah, I have a slightly contrarian perspective on personalization. I do believe we've almost weaponized it to a point where I think it's kind of got a counterintuitive impact for a lot of brands. I think we don't focus on relevance enough. Relevance, I think, is more important than personalization. Is it relevant to be highly personal to somebody? I think for certain categories, certain products, absolutely. If I was ever to be able to afford a super yacht, do I want highly personalized experience? Absolutely. When I go to the supermarket to buy everyday product and good, am I interested in personalization? Not at all. So I think there's a lot of common sense that has gone out the window. So I think relevance, and increasingly, how do we do work that maps the values of our customers? Because personalization often tries to work on things like emotion. Emotion is a temporary short-term feeling, and it's not a good driver of long-term behavior. People's values are more set. So increasingly brands and customers need to work on their clients' values, because values is really driven by things like purpose, and increasingly we're seeing people buying based on purpose and values and relevance, as opposed to personalization that's around kind of creating wants and needs. So I think that's an important shift in consumer behavior. And I think a lot of people are still stuck in kind of old school personalization, where we weaponize personalization at the cost of the consumer who experiences the advertising on the other side. Yeah, I think personalization and remarketing in particular, which leads to kind of ads following people around, I would say it's almost like enough already. I think a lot of that is just bad practice. And I think it's, unfortunately, I don't want it to be too harsh on the agencies and ourselves. Sometimes it's the unintended consequence of how we're incentivized, the way we get procured to do the work. Because if you were on top of things like recency and frequency settings, that wouldn't happen. But sometimes the way we're incentivized is just to kind of carpet bomb things, push, drive the lower funnel too hard because we don't have a broader context. So I think this is a problem that between marketers and agencies we really need to grapple with, because I think we've kind of overdone this a bit. And I think we need to do, we can do and we should do better. There is ways of combining AI and personalization, but this is where we've got to be super careful. Firstly, if we're going to start commingling data sources to do personalization, you've got to be really wary about that. So for me, it all comes down to how strong is the data sources we're working with. Do we understand the lineage of that data? So I think that's important. But there's so much we can do in terms of modeling, in terms of predictive modeling, propensity to purchase, or propensity to any action, really. Things like churn models and regression, just very good 101 that we can now really put a lot of horsepower to. But I think there's a lot of things also on the creative side, where understanding the context of the creative we're working with and doing not only pre-flight testing, but I think what's more interesting than pre-flight is kind of mid-flight and post-flight optimization of creative is a very exciting field right in front of us. And we're very lucky that, you know, people like Google are key partners of ours, and I think kind of alpha and beta testing a lot of their technologies to kind of experiment with clients and see what works. Because I think if you try and do one size fits all with personalization, as I said previously, it can go wrong very quickly. So I think it's all about what data are you using, what understanding do you have, and then to do it effectively.